Hi there, this is Amanda Frankel with Our Crafty Playdate, and today I'm going to be making this card to show you how to do this. I actually made this card for a new customer of mine, Roberta, who placed an online order, and I wanted to send her a thank you note. And since she ordered the Daisy bundle, I wanted to send her a card that would show her just one more idea that she could do with her new stamps and stamp set and punch. Her stamp set and her punch, I should say. This is not a new technique, but I want to show you some tricks, and I will get started here. If you place an online order, I do try to send you a thank you card. If possible, I always try to send you one that would match with what it is you ordered so that it gives you the different idea. Let's get started. I will list all the colors on here for you. And the sizes so that you don't need to take notes right now. You can rewind, or do we even rewind anymore? It's not even a tape. You can go back in your video and you can look at the different sizes and make notes then. But this, we're going to start with this one piece right here. This is a 1x5. And the reason we're starting with this is because we're going to watercolor it a little and I want it to dry. So this is just your basic cardstock. We're going to be using Calypso Coral ink. This is the old container, so you have to slide back and flip over. Calypso Coral as a color will be going forward, but the stamp pads have changed, the ink pads. You can see a little difference here. I have a whole video on how they change. These just lift open like this, and these other ones you still push to slide back and flip, okay? So check out the other video. It'll give you some tips and tricks on that, but we're going to go ahead and start with this. We are also using this water pen. I'm pretty sure it has another name, but for me, it's just water pen. Before I opened this, I don't know if you noticed, I did a little squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You're still going to be able to do that with the new ink pads. Okay, so you'll still be able to use it for watercoloring. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of ink in here. I'm going to go off the paper a little just to see how it's going. Looks good. And I'm just going to do a water wash. Okay, this does not have to be specific. It doesn't have to be uniform. I just want to give it a little wash of color. I'm going to try and go a little lighter toward the end here. It just gives you an idea. You do not need, I stopped talking there while I was playing. You do not need to use a watercolor paper. You can, absolutely, but you don't need to. I just want a little bit more color right here. As it dries, it will dry a little bit lighter. If you want, you can just squeeze and add a little bit more water. Remember, the more water you add, the longer it's going to take to dry, and you want it to dry completely before you do anything else to this paper. We're going to stamp on it. If we were to stamp on it right now while it was wet, that thank you would just go bleh, all like that. Pretty much it would not make that sound, but you get the idea. Okay, we're going to use this ink again, so I'm going to leave it off to the side here. And we're going to use a water pen again, amazingly enough, so I'm going to leave that off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and work on this daisy here. Now, with this daisy, what I did was, I'm going to set my paper here and get out my daisy stamp set. This is Daisy Delight. It will be going forward in the next catalog, so you don't have to panic that you're not going to be able to get it. You will be able to get it. You will not be able to get it as a bundle. I'm going to yell from back over here because I forgot to grab the punch. The Daisy Delight has a coordinating punch. Looks like this. We're going to need it, so I had to grab it. It has a coordinating punch, and they will both be sold in the next catalog, but they won't be sold as a bundle. So if you want to get a discount on them, you can get 10% off if you order them together before May 31st. Otherwise, you'll have to order them separately, which is also okay. All right, so this is our daisy stamp that we're going to be using. Actually, we're using this one and this one today. This thank you is the other thank you that I'm using. And I'm using two colors of ink. I'm using the Saffron and Calypso Coral. Oh, but I should probably tell you why I'm using those colors. This paper is also from the Daisy Delight family. You can see this is what I used. This is the back. These are just some of the great papers in this set. There are a whole bunch. It's two-sided. It's a great pack of paper, and it is retiring. So if you are interested in this paper, you probably ought to move on it pretty quickly. The way I chose my colors then, I really wanted to use this because it just looks so soft and watercolory to me. I looked at the back of my paper pack and I read what colors it said were in that piece of paper, and then I just found what I liked. So I'm using Calypso Coral. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this to make the daisies. I'm using a piece of white, Whisper White scratch paper. It doesn't have to be any specific size. I'm going to give it a really good inking here with my So Saffron. Ooh, yes, very good. Lots of ink. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to take my Calypso Coral, open it up, and now I'm just gonna do the rock and roll technique. And I'm not gonna put it all the way down in the ink pad. I'm just gonna roll it around. If you're gonna do this technique in your ink pad, you wanna make sure that you start with your lightest color. If you put your darkest color on first and then try to put your lighter color on, it's going to pollute your lighter color. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp it 3 times without re-inking. You know, I'm gonna put a Stampin' mat in here. I'll just get a better image. I know I will. This is my Stampin' Pierce mat. It is disreputable. I use it all the time for stamping and piercing. All right, so now I'm going to stamp it 3 times. 1, 2, I did not re-ink, remember. 3, okay? It's okay that it's getting lighter every time. I actually want it to get lighter every time. See those? My super saturated, my lighter, and my lightest. I have 3 punches here layered on top of each other, so that's why we're doing that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close this ink before I completely get myself fully immersed in it, and I'm going to go ahead and punch out these daisies. So I'm just gonna line that up. I just posted a video for you using tips from the Stamparatus with the punch to show you how to super easily just mass produce, but I don't want to do that right now because I'm concentrating. I'm sorry. You should see me. I probably have my tongue out too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to punch out these 3 daisies. So my tip was for exactly this situation where you can't quite get your punch turned to the right angle, and so you have to do this a lot to get your punch in there. The Stamparatus makes this so easy, and I should have probably done it this time. Oh no, here we go. There's my second daisy, and I should be able to come in, I would think, from this other angle. Nope, I'm gonna have to cut this one too. So anyway, be sure that you check out that video on how to line this up with your Stamparatus so that you don't have to continuously rotate your paper and trim it to try and get your punch in the right spot. Okay, that's my 3rd one. It's super pale, but that is okay with me. Okay, so now we're going to take our 3 daisies and we're going to put them upside down on our Stampin' Pierce mat. Okay, got it. Now I'm going to take this water pen again, and I'm not going to use the water side. I'm going to use this other side, and I'm just going to use it. If I give pressure right here, it's going to curl up. See how that flower, how well that's curling up? I'm going to do that with all 3 of my flowers, just quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want them to get a little bit of a natural curl to them. Can you guys see how that's making them curl? I think you can. I'm gonna trust that you can. Okay, so making them all get the curl. Okay, so now when I flip them back, they are kind of spidery. See how they're like spiders? And I'm just gonna do just in the middle. Just in the middle. The legs are still spidery, but now it's got a little bit in the middle, and it gives it a curl like that. See, look a little more natural, right? And I'm going to layer them. My darkest on the bottom, then my middle, then my lightest. You could easily just do 2 layers if you want. I just wanted a really super full little daisy, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and glue these. A little dot, a little dot. I'm using my Tombow. You can see I use a lot of Tombow. I'm using my Multipurpose Liquid glue. I love this glue. It is my favorite. If you've ever taken an in-person class with me, you know that this is the bomb of the glue for me, because you can do just about everything with it. There is one thing we're not going to do with it later, and I will show you. Oh, almost did that upside down. And I'm just kind of staggering these, just alternating them a little bit to give them a little bit more life. There you go. Alrighty, now we're going to set that down, let it dry. Let that daisy dry. You know, I'm going to spread those guys out more. So like I said, this is going to not be retiring. You will still be able to get this gorgeous stamp set. You won't be able to get the matching paper, so get that now. But you can get this stamp set. You just won't get the discount. So if that's important to you, get on that. I'm also going to use some of these clear faceted gems. This is what I used here. They come in 2 colors. They come in a gold color and they come in a clear. I love the clear, especially now that we have these markers. These are our Stampin' Blends. This color is Calypso Coral Light, Calypso Coral Dark. We're just going to use the light one. They're just like our normal markers. They have a writing tip, a fine tip, like that. You can actually write with that. The lid snaps on really tight, and you want to make sure that you do that. And it has a brush tip. You can tell by the thickness of the line here. So the skinny line, writing, thick line, that. We're going to use the bigger one, and you can just color it. Now, you can make things any color you want using these Stampin' Blends. If you have the right color, it will always match whatever card you're doing. So you don't need to own 600 colors of these. You need the gold because it's very saturated gold, and you really need the clear because it's pretty much everything else. And then I'm just going to lift it right off the paper with my scissors and stick that on there, and that is a gorgeous little daisy. Okay, so he is ready. By the way, you do not want to try and color on those clear faceted gems with just your regular Stampin' Write markers. Those won't work, and it will smear off on your hands and on your card. You really need something like this. It's an alcohol, there you go. It's an alcohol marker, so it'll stay like a Sharpie would. It's going to be permanent and it's going to stay. The difference between these and Sharpies, these are actually dyed to match our colors. So, all right, let's keep going. So we are going to be using, we're going to be putting that off to the side for a second here. We are using Calypso Coral for our base. And if you're in my class, you know I also don't score anything there. I just lay that down like that, match it with my fingers, and use my bone folder. Then our next layer is going to be a Whisper White layer. The Whisper White layer, this is just a standard card base size, and I'll list that on here. The Whispered White layer is just 1/4 of an inch smaller, and really, that's all the glue you need. You don't need to go crazy with this liquid. It is strong adhesive. It will work very, very well for you. Okay, our next piece here, our next layer is just 1/4 of an inch smaller than that. So I will go ahead and list all these sizes for you. I know that a lot of you out there, you buy beautiful paper and you hoard it and you don't cut it and use big chunks like this. You need to, because it's beautiful and other people are going to love it just as much as you do. So be sure that you use your paper. Don't worry, we'll make more, I promise. There will be more beautiful paper out there. By the way, I'm a quilter, and I will tell you, quilters are the same way. We buy gorgeous fabric and then we don't want to cut it. Okay, so is this dry yet? Almost. All right, so that'll be good. In the meantime, I'll talk about this. This ribbon is in our current catalog, and I want to say that it carries over, but I'm not sure. Actually, I think it does, in a couple of colors. So I had used the Lemon Lime Twist before, but I did not have the Calypso Coral, and I love it. It is ombre, so it is kind of a variegated. I don't know if variegated is the right term, but definitely ombre. It's darker on one end and lighter on the other end. And that is what I used on here. And it works perfectly with this because I wanted it to look kind of watercolory. I could have colored my own ribbon, but why would I do that if it's going to do it for me so well? All right, so let's go ahead and stamp on this. If it's not dry, you're going to forgive me, and we're just going to pretend like it was, okay? All right, so I am going to be using my thank you stamp from that same set to thank Roberta for her order. I'm going to ink that up. A lot of times I often will put Versamark. I'll stamp in Versamark before I stamp in these really saturated colors so that it doesn't, it's still a little damp. Trust me, we're gonna be experimenting here. So that it doesn't stain the stamp quite as much, but I'm not gonna worry about it too much right now. Probably because I just don't know where my Versamark is off the top of my head. Okay, that actually worked and didn't run too much. Might still run a little, but it'll be pretty. It'll look watercolory. All right, like that is an adjective. Okay. All right, so these are glue dots. Whenever you're putting ribbon on something, you want to use glue dots or maybe even Scotch tape. You don't want to use the liquid glue. Remember when I said we were going to use liquid glue for everything? Not one thing. This is what we're not going to use it for. If you put liquid glue on this ribbon, because it is a fiber, it is going to soak through and just get gummy, okay? You can decide if you want your dark edge on the bottom or at the top. It's completely going to be up to you. I'm making mine at the bottom. I never cut ribbon off until after I've stuck it down. Okay, the reason that I do that is a couple. I hate when I cut a ribbon a little bit too short and then I have to try and make it fit and it makes you crazy. I don't like that. All right, so that is the best way to do ribbon for me. So easy. We're going to go ahead and glue this down now. The reason that I'm gluing this down before making this knot, and why didn't I wrap it all the way around with this knot? Well, there is a video in my collection of this also, and it's how to tie this flat knot. And the reason that I did it this way, we're going to bang here for a second. The reason that I did it this way is because I want to make sure that I'm not wasting ribbon across the back here, right, where no one's going to see my beautiful ribbon. I don't want to put it back there. And I also did it this way because inevitably when you tie your bow, these little legs are going to be like this, and they're going to be crazy, and they're going to be right across your thank you, and it's going to look like it says "thank you" or something. So this is why I always do it afterward. This is how I do it, and there's a whole video on this, so you can watch it, but I come in from the top, fold this over my hand like this, cross it over. It looks like a ribbon of courage, right? Tuck this through here, pull down, and it leaves that little triangle, not like that. Now I'm going to cut it off, and I can make it exactly the length that I want. I'm going to cut this one at an angle too. And look at this. The coolest thing on this, I could literally drag this little knot anywhere I want on this card, and it's going to be just fine. Okay, I want it to be right there under the thank you. I am going to pop my time to order dimensionals. Although this part is the best, you guys. You can use these edges. Every little bit is usable on there. All right, I'm going to put my daisy up on a dimensional, and I'm just going to stick it right there, and this card is done. I've got 2 cards now, so the next person who orders the daisy bundle for me will get the other one, and you saw how it was made. Thank you so much for stopping by. I don't know how often I've told you, but I really do want to say I appreciate your business. I love stamping with you and for you, so please come to a class if you're local. If not, stamp in your pajamas. I love to have you here either way. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another one of my chatty and informative videos. And hit the little bell, and then you'll get a notice every time I do post something. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.